time. Something has got to happen because we can no longer go down the path that we're going down. This country won't last another 6 months. This country won't last another 12 months if something doesn't happen. So it's time to flip the switch. It's time to get involved. It's time to move the line forward. And if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So I don't care what flip the switch is. I don't care if that means that all of this nonsense is nonsense, or if some of it's true. All right. Hello, Warriors, World Patriots, my fellow Americans. My name is Mike. I'm the host of Liberty Warrior. Give me liberty or give me death. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. Welcome to this Tuesday evening, December 7th, 2021. How's everybody doing? I see that we have people on channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, channel 5. I'm just putting the intro out there so you guys can find us. Some of you are still looking for us. We're over here at Liberty Warrior Nation. And I'm also putting material out there so you guys can find 5, 6, 7 a little bit easier. So everybody that are on those channels, I'm only going to leave them up here for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to hit the kill switch so you guys can join us over here at Liberty Warrior Nation. You can also join us on Facebook, Liberty Warrior Nation, or Twitch, Liberty Warrior Nation. So those are the places that you can find us. If you are looking for last night's show, I put it over on Rumble. It's also downloaded on Podbean. So you can find us at LWN Podcast there as well. What a crazy week. It's starting to cool off where I'm at. It snowed a little bit the other day. Then it kind of warmed back up. I know some of you guys are seeing other places around that is also having a little bit of a heat streak there for a minute. It's strange weather, but it goes, it comes, it goes. The earth goes in cycles, and I have a feeling I'm going to get a ton of snow this year. I just have this big feeling that we're going to maybe even break some records this year, and I'm not looking forward to shoveling that snow, but it is part of living in the mountains. So, and living in Idaho, we get some heavy snow here, lots of moisture. And I know after last year, we definitely need it because last year was a drought for sure. So let's bring Shane in. How you doing this evening, Shane?
Good.
Captain Finger is on the ship. Well, I'm gonna turn all the other channels off. So if you guys want to hop over here to Liberty Warrior Nation, that's where we're all at. I was just putting this out there so you guys could find us, so people could find 5, 6, and 7 a little bit easier with material on there, because they are hard to find if you don't have any videos up. So I'm going to shut those down here in about 2 minutes. So if you guys want to hop over here, we'd love to have you join us. We're going to remember Pearl Harbor tonight, and I know Shane's got some stuff that we want to discuss right at the beginning here, some updates and some questions that we have for you guys. So I'll give it a few more seconds here, and we'll push everybody over here. So how has your day been so far, Shane?
It's been busy.
Besides busier than hell.
Well, other than that, busy? That's about it. Yeah. Been busy.
Yeah, it's I have a feeling these last few weeks of December are gonna like just fly by. Like I have a feeling Christmas is gonna be here before I even know it. And then Christmas is going to come and go, and it'll be the new year, and then we'll be right into 2022, right?
It ain't going to be long. We'll wake up and it'll be here tomorrow.
Yep. It's, it's true what they say. The older you get, the quicker these years and these days go by, and that is no lie. No lie at all. All right. I'm going to turn 5, 6, and 7 off. So those of you who are over on 5, 6, and 7, please come join us at LWN Liberty Warrior Nation on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch.
Was you able to get your U-joints in?
Shane, that is a very sore subject. So the U-joint that I ordered on Sunday showed up this afternoon. We did get it in. I was really excited. I thought, all right, I'm going to have my truck back. It's supposed to snow Thursday, and it's supposed to snow pretty heavy, so I need my big truck. I need my 4-wheel drive. Went to put the other U-joint in that we had, but my dad was busy getting the old one out. Went to put it in and realized that's not the right U-joint either. So I'm back to square one, and I'm not happy about it. Dad's trying the best he can to help me, and he's good at it, but I don't know. These aftermarket parts are definitely very tricky. As long as everything stays stock, which I'm not a stock guy, I have to lift my truck. I have to put big tires on it. I do a lot of aftermarket things to most all of my vehicles, and that's the part that starts getting tricky when you're working on them is finding the right parts, because just because you go down to the parts house and tell them what you have, they'll give you stock parts, and those don't always work. And that's the problem I'm running into. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and shut down. I'm going to shut down 1, 2, 3, and 4. So those of you who are over on channels 1, 2, 3, and 4, we'd sure like for you to join us over here at Liberty Warrior Nation on YouTube or Facebook. So I'm going to go ahead and kill it. All right. We're all over here at LWN now. So hopefully they can find us on Facebook or YouTube. I'm sure they will. Yeah, the truck situation is frustrating to I could say some cuss words right now, but I won't. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pray us in, and then Shane, I know there are some things that you and I wanted to discuss right at the beginning of the show, so we'll do that as soon as I get done with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we just come to you this day, Lord, this evening. Thank you for another beautiful day here, Lord. As we remember Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, Lord, and all the lives that were lost, and the things that got us into that war, Lord. We just look back on them, and Lord, we appreciate the sacrifice that all the men and women gave back in those days to ensure that we all could live in America free. Lord, I just pray right now that we have a great evening, great conversation with ourselves and with all the viewers. Lord, I just pray a hedge of protection over the show. I pray a hedge of protection over each and every one of us. Lord, I just pray that we have an amazing evening together as one. And I pray this in your son's name. Amen. All right, Shane. Well, there was something that you wanted to bring up to people's attention, and I think we should just right out the gate take care of it and move on. So, you want to bring up the situation, the hiccup that we're having?
Yeah, the ladies' V-neck shirts. Come to find out today, they're supposed to have them all. They are all on back order. The earliest they can get them is 1st of January and the middle of March. End of February, middle of March. So we're having troubles. There is no V-neck available unless we go with shirts out of Honduras. Suppose.
Oh, Shane, you froze up. You froze up, Shane. Your internet is really bad. So let me tell you guys what Shane's got going on here. Shane, you might have to bounce out and bounce back in. Your internet is really weak right now. So, the ladies' V-necks, we are trying really hard to only buy American made. So the ladies' V-necks that are American made, they are on back order and they will not be in until February, March. Okay. Shane does have the capability of buying ladies' V-necks that are made out of Honduras. Okay, not American made. And that's kind of where Shane left off. And we were just throwing this at you guys to give the ones who have ordered or the people who are getting ready to order options. And so we wanted to discuss them real quick tonight to give you guys those options and let you guys choose what you want us to do. So go ahead, Shane.
Okay, here's the options. One is we can wait till January, February, March to get your ladies' V-necks. Two is we can order them out of Honduras. Or three is you'll do like most of the time y'all do and wear men's shirts. That's totally up to you. You tell us what you want to do, and that's what we'll do. We could have made the decision ourselves, but there's going to be too many people going to chew our heads off. So if we leave it up to y'all, it's your choice. I'd rather have that option.
Or we can refund the money, right?
Or we can refund the money, yes.
Or we can refund your money. If you guys want refunds, we can do the refunds. If you want us to just go ahead and order them so you can get them now and you don't care if we order them out of Honduras. Now, just because we order this batch out of Honduras does not mean that we will continue doing that. That's just for the ones who have already ordered. We will still order out of America, but they're on back order for a while. So, or the ladies can just choose to change their order to the men's because they're all made out of America and there's no shortage of the men's for whatever reason. So that's really your guys' choice, but it kind of needs to be a little bit of a unanimous decision, I think, Shane, because I don't think we can mismatch and do all the other stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how you want to handle this. Um, we can go emails. People can write us emails who have placed orders. Let us know what they would like for us to do, and we can read all the emails and make a decision from that. However, you would like to handle it, since you're dealing with the merchandise.
Well, we could do a quick scan right now. Put a 1 if you want the V-neck. American made V-neck. That means y'all are going to wait till February, March. A 2 if you want the men's. 3 if you want Honduras. Or 4 if you want a refund. Did you write them down, Mike, so you had them?
Absolutely, Shane. One is say that again. There's already some ones. So what was one again?
You're supposed to be writing them down. One
I kind
is
of was.
One is to wait. 2 is the boys, men's shirt. 3 is Honduras, and 4 is refund.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. See a lot of ones. I have
Looks like a
two.
Yeah, a lot of ones that would rather wait for the American-made V-necks. I don't blame you. You know, it's if we're
Mary
trying
Kay says,
to.
write it down.
What's that?
Mary Kay says, write this down.
Write this down. I wrote it down. It's all it's all written down. We're trying to do our best to buy as much American made as we possibly can. I don't know if you can fully do 100% all the time, but we are trying to do our part. So I understand the wait. It's unfortunate. If you would like to just order the men's T-shirt, you can talk to us and we can change your order from the ladies V-neck to just the men's, and you can get your shirt faster. However you guys want to do it. I really don't care. It's really your money, your choice. So I think we've probably touched on that enough, and we'll just move forward. So.
All right. Sounds good. Like I said, I didn't find out till today myself. So what do you do?
Yeah. What do? You just roll with the punches. That's all you can do.
Been
All
a
right.
rough week, and it's only what, Tuesday?
What's that?
I said it's been a rough week and it's only Tuesday.
I know it's kind of like we've had 2 Mondays right in a row. I know the whole truck problem with me was like having a Monday all over again. But I did get some great news. So I do want to update you guys on something else. I had a parent-teacher conference today with Noah's teacher. Again, she's a personal friend of mine. And Noah's got some really good grades. Very proud of him. And it's nice to be able to talk to her and work together on Noah and what he needs to be successful. And while I was there, I brought up CRT, and I also brought up the stuff that we learned last night from the Affidavit Mamas, which was the SEL. And I asked her if she knew about it. She said she never heard of it, which to me was a good thing. So it's just it was definitely something that I wanted to kind of feel around for and see if she had any kind of information on it. And so I did find out when the school board meeting is, which is December. I have it written down. It's either the 12th or the 13th. It's on Mondays, so it'll work out really good for me. I'll be able to go to the school board meeting and listen to what they got going on and get in tuned with that. But Noah having good grades, and it doesn't sound like they're accepting any of the nonsense here in this little town anyway. I'm going to keep a very close eye on it. And I already told her, I said, listen, if any of this stuff even is even talked about in this school, I said, I'm going to pull him out like immediately. So I've already told her, and I told her, if I do this, are you going to support me? Are you going to, point me in the right direction for the homeschooling? Would you still, help me on the side? And she said, absolutely. So it was really nice to not only have that conversation with her, but to know that if I chose to pull him out of school immediately, that, she's still his teacher, she's still my friend, and she's still going to, lend a hand and help get me on the right path for homeschooling. So that's just a really good day for me. It was a win for me. And now that I'm in constant communication with her at least once a week, that's a big deal for me too. Because I need to know what's going on and I need to be involved in Noah's school. So that was a good deal.
Well, I'm glad to hear he's doing good.
Yeah, he's doing really good.
At least he's listening to somebody. Huh?
Well, he definitely he's a lot like me. That's what mom said today, because mom went with me to the parent teacher conference, and Noah was telling her some things in the car before we went in, and she goes, "Yep, he's your son. He's just like you."
A little hard headed at times, is he?
Oh, he's very hard headed, very stubborn. Absolutely. So, anyway, that's my good news for today. I guess we'll get started on the show, which is remembering Pearl Harbor. 80 years ago today, the anniversary of the switch that got flipped that really got us involved in World War II. Right. I've got some questions that I want to ask you, Shane. See if you can answer them.
Probably
Okay.
not. I'm not prolific on World War II.
Okay, well, I'll let you take an educated guess. That's okay, and we'll see how much you know. We'll see how much the audience knows without Googling real quick. So I won't give them much time because they can find all this information by Googling. But I'm gonna make it real short so they don't have enough time. So, do you know what day Pearl Harbor happened? What day of the week it was? We all know it was December 7th, but what day of the week and what time was it?
Went in on Sunday.
Correct.
Okay. Now I'd say
Do you
it's
know what time?
No, but if I was guessing, it'd be really, really early or really, really late. Be a guess.
All right, so what's your guess?
I'm not real. Huh?
Just take a guess.
I'd have to say late in the evening.
All right. Well, you're wrong about that. It was at 7:55 a.m. So right before 8 o'clock.
Okay.
That's when the planes flew over and started dropping the torpedoes. Right. How long did the attack last?
Till it was done.
Till it was done. It lasted 110 minutes.
Yeah, like 110 I said, I
minutes.
Reading it, but it's been 30, 35 years since I read about that.
Okay. Well, imagine being a sailor or even a civilian at Pearl Harbor on that fateful Sunday morning. Some people were probably in church. Some people were down on the beach enjoying themselves. Sailors were on the boat. This thing kicks off at 7:55 and it goes for 110 minutes. And sometimes on this show, it kind of gets drawn out sometimes at 120 minutes for 2 hours. And this thing went for 110 minutes. Imagine the chaos and just what you would have been thinking in that moment in time. Just 5 minutes would have been insane, right? Just 10 minutes of stuff blowing up and planes flying all over the head and machine guns going off and sirens going off. Just imagine 10 minutes. And this attack happened for 110 minutes. And that's pretty close to 2 hours. That's pretty horrific.
It felt like an eternity.
It would feel like an eternity. Now, in my younger years, I used to ride bulls. I don't know if you did, Shane, but I did. And I can tell you 8 seconds on the back of a 1,200 to 2,000 pound animal feels like an eternity. So I couldn't even imagine 110 minutes. pretty insane. So it says the Japanese launched their planes in two waves of approximately 45 minutes apart. Now, that is one thing I did not know. I didn't know that there was actually two waves. I thought it was all just one big wave, but that would explain the 110 minutes, right? Because it would have been two waves. Let me bring this over here so it's easier for me to read. Let's see, what else do we have here? The first wave of Japanese planes struck Pearl Harbor at 7:55. The second wave reached Pearl Harbor around 8:40. They attacked without warning. We all know that. When Japanese commander Mitsuo Fujita called out "Tora, Tora, Tora," Tiger, 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 upon flying over Pearl Harbor. It was a message to the entire Japanese Navy telling them that he had caught the Americans totally by surprise. Now, John Wayne had a movie called Tora, 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 right?
Yes.
I believe it was John Wayne. That's a great question, Devil Dog. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to find the answer here in a minute. So, Devil Dog's question, without me cheating and looking at my screen, how many aircraft carriers did the Japanese sink? Let me grab that question again real quick. How many aircraft carriers did the Japanese sink? I'm going to take a guess, and I did not see it, Devil Dog. I'm going to say 2. I don't even know if there's even any aircraft carriers there, to be honest with you. But I'm going to read down through here. I'm going to say 2.
How many they use?
See. No, how many did they sink?
I didn't see sink. Where do you see sink? It says how many
Is that what he said?
Japanese use.
Oh, how many did they use? How many did they use? Okay, I'm going to say, man, that was a big-ass attack. I'm going to say at least 4 carriers. That's my guess. 4 carriers.
I don't know.
All right. The Japanese traveled 3,400 miles across the Pacific to execute their attack on Pearl Harbor. Now that's a long way to go, right? That is a very long way to go. The Japanese attack force stationed itself approximately 230 miles north of the Hawaiian island of Oahu. Plans for the surprise attack against the United States were begun as early as January of 1941. So it took them almost a year. They'd been planning and strategizing this thing for 11 months.
Well, back then it took a long time to come over with their scouts and figure out how they was going to do it, I'm sure. It wasn't just pick up the internet and Google it.
The Japanese force was led by Vice Admiral. I don't even know how to say that name. Hagalgamo or something. I can't pronounce it. The Japanese fleet consisted of 353 planes. The Japanese used the code name Operation Hawaii for the attack on Pearl Harbor. This later changed to Operation Z. The Japanese specially chose to attack on Sunday because they believed Americans would be more relaxed and less alert on the weekend.
They're saying in the chat it's Yamamoto and Hirohito.
No, it's I'll spell it in the chat for you guys. I can't pronounce it, but the last name is, there's the last name. Let's see what else.
Nagumo.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Devil Dog said there were 6 ships.
4 of the American battleships stationed in Battleship Row were sunk. Another was capsized, and 6 run aground. Of course, everybody knows the Arizona. The Arizona exploded when the bomb breached its forward magazine, which is the ammunition room. Approximately 1,100 U.S. servicemen died on board. After being torpedoed, the Oklahoma listed so badly that it turned upside down. During the attack, the Nevada was left beneath a battleship's row and tried to make it to the harbor entrance. After being repeatedly attacked on its way, the Nevada breached itself. So this thing goes on for quite a while. Let's see. The United States declared war on Japan December 8th, 1941, the day following the attack on Pearl Harbor.
We've been paying for it ever since.
Yeah.
Literally.
So anyway, that's some facts about Pearl Harbor. FDR's speech, "This is a day that will live in infamy." He wasn't kidding about that. It's definitely something that we remember every year. A lot of people died that day. A lot of people, and it was a course that changed the world by far. Now, I had some great uncles that fought in World War II. I've heard other stories on other channels, and people talking about their great grandfathers who also fought in World War II, and that was something that we were drawn into for, I think, what was it, around 4 years, wasn't it? 4 years total.
Yeah, we try to get down to the museum today. There's one of the Japanese Zeros. It was one of the planes that was flown. There was a guy out of a little town just north of me, 7 miles. A little bitty town's only 500 people. And he has pictures of inside of one of those Zeros from back in 1943, 42 and 43. One of the ones that actually was over Pearl Harbor. How he got it, I don't know if he had shot it down and they had rummaged through it and found the photos of them taking pictures or what. But they had all kinds of photos. It was kept in a bank vault. And he was a stenographer, Morse code. He wrote Morse code in the military back then. So I tried to get down there in time to get some pictures of that stuff. And by the time I got there, they was already shut down. Little towns like this only show up when there might be somebody around, which is twice a year. So, but I thought it was pretty neat being out here in the middle of the desert. We have pictures of the inside of a cockpit of a Japanese Zero. Thought that was pretty impressive.
Now, what was the name of the plane that we used in that war?
Yeah,
the most popular one. The most popular one. I think there was either one or two. I think it was the P-51 Mustang. I'm asking because I don't know.
You're gonna give me the line. Like I said, it's been 30, 35.
I think it was a Mustang, I believe, but it was man, I don't know my planes very well. But I can definitely drop the link. We got a lot of people in the chat. I'm sure a few of them would like to come up and talk about it. So here's the link. Yeah, they can educate us for sure.
Kevin Harris had some interesting information.
I enjoyed watching all the John Wayne movies back in the day. He was always a hero of mine. And what?
John H is out there. He says a P-36Q.
Okay, I knew it was P something, but I think yeah, the Mustang too was another popular plane. Let's bring in RH. How's it going, RH?
Hey everyone, doing pretty good. Getting ready for Christmas, or trying to, anyways. We got our Charlie Brown tree setting up on a TV tray stand, and yeah, this is a really great historical topic. I worked a lot of years in radar as an operator, and there's one thing a lot of people don't even understand, that we picked up a massive blip little after 7 o'clock in the morning, 137 miles north of Hawaii, before they attack. And the radar the radar site was ordered to shut down at 7 a.m. The guy running it, he was new, and he kind of disobeyed orders, and he kept it running long. And uh, but anyways, I'm not spreading conspiracy theories. That's a fact. You look it up at pearlharbor.com. Now,
Hmm.
I guess the movie Pearl Harbor, it came out, was it in 2001? I
Yeah, it's
think there
been a
was,
minute.
yeah, there's a little section, I believe, if I remember correctly, of that radar site. It was basically manned on top of a mountain in Hawaii, one of the islands of Hawaii. And like I said, they picked up the Japanese planes coming in for attack, en route to attack Pearl Harbor. Uh,
Now,
what
and I know some of the movies put stuff out there, but I thought that they actually were finding inconsistencies in the Japanese communication back and forth even earlier than that, and they were even pre-warned that there could be an attack at Pearl Harbor, and some of that was ignored. Is that fact, or is that just myth?
Well, you know how they love to classify things. You know, there's even my uncle was on the USS Vincent, uh, and after that attack, basically they put together a huge armada, and they went after them, after the Japanese fleet in the Pacific, and that's where we had the biggest naval victory in U.S. history at the Battle of Midway.
Yep.
Um, and what's really sad is, after the Battle of Midway, we suffered one of the biggest, I think still the biggest naval defeat in history, at the Battle of Guadalcanal. We lost, I don't know how many destroyers. They actually call it the Battle of Sitting Ducks. We were called, the reason why they call it the Battle of Sitting Ducks is because Admiral McCain was in charge of surveillance. And from my understanding, everything I researched, um, because of my uncle, I wanted to look up the history of it and how his ship got sunk. But anyways, Admiral McCain's mission was to conduct air surveillance of the operation area of the landing of Guadalcanal. And he pulled out of the operation area and left this whole fleet, of the landing fleet, and it was a multi-nation fleet too. Australia was involved in it. I believe the UK. There's a
Mhm.
multinational endeavor to land and capture Guadalcanal, which is a very strategic point. But that was we were able to actually accomplish the landing, but we suffered at the result of that. We suffered the biggest naval defeat in U.S. history in the Battle of Guadalcanal, or they call it Salvo Island, I believe, too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I saw all that, the teletype, or the secret transmissions of uncovering, decrypting their classified messages back and forth, and we had intel. Now, I think there was another movie regarding the history of a naval officer, and I can't remember which, but it's in one of those movies in detail, but I can't remember. But you're correct. You're correct. And even the USS Vinson, when it was sunk, after it was sunk, they kept a manifest secret. And my uncle lied about his age to get in to World War II to serve our country, and he went in under a different name. So we had to find out the name and everything, and we figured out the name. I guess my grandparents. He told my grandparents what name he went under. But anyways, but he survived. He survived that attack. After his ship was sunk, they were floating on debris, and it was pretty nasty. The sharks, there's a story about that. It's really, really. And after that,
brutal.
every time, when we got older as kids, we could, we had to tiptoe around him because he had shell shock, But anyways, that's my story, and this is a great topic. I'm really happy that you're sharing that topic tonight.
Well, thank you, RH. I had family that fought in World War II, and I just think it's we should remember them. We should remember the sacrifices that the men and the women made in World War II. If you guys remember correctly, when World War II kicked off, there were a lot of women who went to the factories and they started helping make all kinds of things for the war. And I can't remember exactly everything that they made. I know they worked on planes. I know that I think they even helped with ammunition and all kinds of things, you name it. And the women were there in the factories, working crazy hours to try to help for the war effort. So tonight, when we remember Pearl Harbor, again, we remember all the sacrifice that all the Americans made for those 4 years of the war.
Amen, brother. Thanks for putting on this tonight, and I really appreciate it. And I'll kick back into the background here for you. Let somebody else on.
All right.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
All right.
All right.
Night.
Yep. Thank you. God bless. That was an interesting story that RH shared with us about his uncle and the ship. And man, there was so many things that happened in World War II. Like you said, the ship sinking, shark attacks on the sailors, the women working in the factories, the Allies, over in Europe pushing the line forward, all the stories that came out of there, all the heroes. A lot of stuff to remember. D-Day was what, in June? Was it June that D-Day happened? I believe it's June. Maybe I'm getting my history mixed up.
I think it was.
But D-Day was a pretty brutal situation in World War II as well. So that was just June 6th. Okay, I knew it was June. That was just another huge effort of the Allies and Americans, fighting this war, and it all started from Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, I think they had some bad information on that one. They getting off the boats, they were sitting ducks. That was a bad day.
That I don't want to take away from Pearl Harbor, but D-Day, when you watch the film on that, you're exactly right. They were, man, I just couldn't believe there. I was sitting there watching that stuff and just watching those soldiers being sitting ducks, and I just could not believe. I just couldn't believe that they that they didn't say, hey, maybe this is a bad idea, and turn around and went back, planned it for a different day or different beach or something. But I tell you what, they had some balls. They went in there, they dropped those gates on those U-boats, and they took that beach. They beat them sons of bitches, and and that changed the war. But Jesus,
It was a
I
total
mean,
loss getting there.
it was a hell of a loss that we took, and the men that lost their lives on that beach, on Omaha, and the rest of them, um, a lot of those men were 17, 18, 19-year olds. A lot of very young Americans.
A
And
lot of them were,
nowadays, if
a
you,
lot of them lied about their age to get in. A lot
I
of them.
know,
I heard rumors and
and
stories.
nowadays, if you just bark at a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old, they want to go to their safe space, But back then, those young men were men early in life. Um, so I want to thank all of them, past, present, and future, for all your service, no matter what branch of the military you've served. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you for sacrificing and giving us what we have today, which now I feel like it's our turn to fight the battle and keep what they've sacrificed, Shane. We
Yeah.
have to help keep what they sacrificed so hard to give us. We can't allow that to slip through our fingers and lose this. So, yeah, boys
Right now,
became
it's a
men.
different
Here's
kind
the
of
link.
battle.
It is.
Right
It
now, it's a
is.
different kind of battle, but it's still a battle. Now, if this administration keeps going the way it's trying, yeah, we'll probably be in one with good old Putin here real soon. Not going to be pretty.
What's your opinion on? Do you think there could ever possibly be another war like that, another world war where so many countries get pulled into it and we're fighting on all kinds of fronts? Do you think that's ever a possibility, Shane, or do you think that with technology nowadays, um, it wouldn't be a war like that? It'd be more drones and technology instead of boots on the ground. I mean, if you think about it, Afghanistan, Iraq, those wars were not so long ago. You know,
I think, I ain't going to say there's not going to be other wars like that because that would just be, you can never cancel that out completely. But a lot of it would be a digital war, that's why we have drones and stuff like that to keep our troops out of harm's way. Now, granted, there needs to be some boots on the ground, I'm sure, but I really don't see it being another Normandy or anything like that. I wouldn't think there's any need for it. Quit trying to see who has the big would be the biggest thing. Quit fighting over the who's going to have more dollars. Then we wouldn't have any more problems. That every war has been fought over money. Every one of them. Who has the land and who has the money? So,
well, in World War II, at least what we were taught in school, a lot of it started, in Germany. Germany entered World War One, and then they turned around and they were a big part of World War II. And it just kind of, in my opinion, it kind of got out of hand real quick. They just started invading every country at that point. And I think Japan, some documentaries that I watched about Japan was pissed off at America because of World War One, right?
yeah.
I
Yeah,
think they were pissed off at us. I think they were pissed off at us because of some peace treaties that were made in World War One, and they kind of got the short end of the stick, so to speak. And so then they had a grudge against us, and Pearl Harbor was them paying us back, and and then that leads us into Hiroshima. Um, the atomic bomb that was dropped to end the war. Pretty crazy stuff.
yeah. I think looking back now, I think a lot of it could have been avoided, but You don't know back then. And like I said, they didn't have technology like they do now. So, I hate to see anybody had to go through that, but it is, we can't change it now. All we can do is try to change what our future looks like and hope like hell we don't go through it again.
Absolutely. And it led to other conflicts and other wars. And yes, I did read somewhere where we did cut off the oil to Japan, and that pissed them off. Just a lot of factors in there. And, that was 80 years ago. Things are a lot different now, but still the same. We still fight and bicker over the same things. Still always quick to pull the trigger, it seems like. We're always putting our nose sometimes where it don't belong. Sometimes I feel like we need to let some of these other countries figure it out on their own instead of always wanting to be the police of the world. Just my opinion.
Well, when I was a kid,
of course, when
I was a kid, my older brother would stick his nose in our business occasionally, and we'd always tell him, keep your nose out of our business till we needed it. But anyway, and I always felt like that since I was a kid. We've always been like, America's been the big brother, and you stick your nose in there enough times, it's going to get chopped off. And if we're not real careful, all of them can turn on us in a hurry.
Yeah. Yep. Pearl Harbor should have taught us a lot of things over the years. It should have really, we should learn from our lessons. I don't think anything since 9/11 has really been so catastrophic. So many losses of life. I know Vietnam was pretty ugly too. I know we lost a lot of lives there too, but as far as attacked on our own soil, I don't think anything was as horrific as Pearl Harbor until 9/11. So we got another caller. Let's bring Kathy in. Good evening, Kathy. How are you?
Hi guys, how are you doing? I've got my own little Pearl Harbor story. I used to work for U.S. Airways, so I could kind of go where I wanted to. Thankfully, my daughter and son-in-law were stationed out there. And I never used to tell my mother where she was going on a trip. So I flew to Orlando, picked her up, went back to Charlotte, and she sat there in the international terminal trying to guess where she was going. And all of a sudden, she turns around and she said, "You're taking me to Honolulu." And I went, "Yeah, I thought I would." And luckily, because I was a supervisor, I got first class tickets all the way there and all the way back.
Very nice. Are you still there, Kathy? Uh-oh. We lost you, Kathy. You there, Kathy? I don't know what she did. Oh, there she goes. Hopefully she'll call right back. So her mother figured out that they were going to Honolulu. I know there's got to be more to the story than just that. So here she is.
Here I am again.
There you are. All right, go ahead and finish.
Well, I'm one of those people who have had telephone problems all day. But we took my mother to Pearl Harbor the next morning. I wasn't going to make her wait any longer to see what she'd waited her whole life for. She was 7 when it happened. And she said, one of the things she always said to me growing up was, someday I want to see that before I die. And I took her. And I have a picture of her leaning over the railing out on the Arizona with a picture of her hands. About that time, 2 sets of sailors' tears came up through the water. And if anybody who's never been there, sailors' tears is the fact that even after 80 years, that ship is still leaking oil. And they call them the sailors' tears because the sailors that died on it stayed on it. And those that survived have been returned to the Arizona to serve out eternity with their shipmates. And they bury probably, at this point, they're only burying probably about 6 a year because almost all of them are gone.
Mhm.
And if D-Dog is out there, I'm sure he's got the statistics because I can't remember. But there were several sets of brothers that were on the boat and even more sets of fathers and sons on the Arizona.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know any of that stuff. It is one of my bucket lists to go there as well before I die, just to see that part of history, and truly amazing stories coming from the Arizona.
Yeah, and to stand there on that boat. I mean, and you can see down to where it sits. And the day we were there, luckily, it was a fairly calm day, so the silt wasn't acting up on the bottom. My son-in-law, who's a chief senior master sergeant with the United States Air Force, he's a history buff. So after we got back that night, Ryan just filled Mom full of all the stuff he knows about the Arizona and the Missouri. So,
Wow.
because they lived there, so that made it good.
Mhm.
And then, of course, ages ago, when somebody mentioned about being under the pineapples, I knew about it because I've seen it. I wasn't in it, but I know where the pineapples are on the backside of the island. If you remember Jeff B
Gotcha.
mentioning it.
Yeah, I
That,
remember Jeff B mentioning it. You know, something else that they did today too is they took over 60 survivors, the 60 that are left from World War II. They took them over the the def, defense secretary, I believe, took them over today, and they went to the memorial. So there's not many of those great Americans left. They're 60 this year. Who knows how many will be left next year?
yes, the United States Navy has a special team of divers. That is their only job. They take the ashes of those that have passed, that have been returned to Hawaii, and they take them down and put them basically in the area of the ship they would have been on.
Wow.
Yep.
I did not know that. That's the first I've ever heard of that, Kathy. So thank you for sharing that with us tonight.
Not a problem. It's nice to be able to relive some of our history because people are forgetting or they don't
Yes,
know.
correct. Correct.
All right, I'm going to leave you guys to it. I will talk to you soon.
All right. All right. God bless. All right, folks. If you guys have any stories that your great uncles or your great grandparents, your grandparents told you about World War II, maybe some of them were at Pearl Harbor and made it out of there. We'd love to hear from you tonight. Here's the link. I'll drop it. Call in. Anything about World War II. But tonight we're really trying to shine a spotlight on Pearl Harbor. We'd like to hear your stories, and that honestly, Kathy sharing that with us tonight. That's the first time I've ever personally heard the story about the sailors' tears, or even that when some of the survivors pass away, that they actually go and bury them back there. I did not know that, not at all.
No, I've learned a lot today. Like I said, it's amazing what you can find out and learn when you listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, anyone else want to call in and share a story or just a thought? Go ahead and join us. We're here, and it's been a little bit sobering to start thinking about how young everybody was and how that all kind of unfolded, and how it really brought America together in that moment in history to work together. And I just it's just at times it's just amazing how the human spirit and the American patriotism can really at times, it seems, move mountains. So let's bring in Will Justice. How are you this evening, sir?
Doing good. How about y'all?
Not too bad. Do you have a story or a comment for us tonight?
Yeah, my grandfather served in World War One, fighting the Germans over there, and was injured. My father served in World War Two over in the Pacific Islands. He was a combat engineer, and his battalion was 85% killed in action due to a Japanese suicide bomber over there. He was
Wow.
one of the lucky ones that made it home, but he had a lot of uh, physical issues after that. And
I bet.
I got to say, those two generations have got more balls in their little finger than this whole new generation does today.
It it's definitely frustrating at times to see the gap between the greatest generation and some of the generations that are out there now that just they don't seem to care, you know. And the patriotism alone from those two generations was truly amazing to see men lie about their age just to get in the military because they wanted to serve their country. Um, it doesn't get any greater than that.
No, it doesn't. And even before my dad went overseas, when they first bombed Pearl Harbor, he was a steam crane operator. And for 20, 20 plus days, he stayed constantly in a steam crane loading ships to go over to Hawaii for the relief effort over there after that bombing.
Wow. Yep. It's the stories are truly amazing, and we're glad that you called in, Will, to share that with us this evening. It's great to remember your grandfather, to remember your father on this special day, you know, and we're just thankful that you called in to share that with us, sir.
You're welcome. And to all the Patriots out there, hang tough, guys. It's got to get better. I don't think it can get a whole lot worse.
Amen. All right. Thank you, Will. God bless you. Have a great evening.
God bless you all too. Thank you.
Wow. So he had his grandfather fight in World War One and his father fight in World War Two. I think I have family as well that did the same, and I know there's a lot more people out there. You know, there's families out there that their relatives have been in the military for generations. You know, serving this country, and it's amazing to hear those stories. You know, people that go way back and have served their country faithfully, generation after generation. It's amazing stories to hear.
Yeah, they come in all ages anymore. I mean, them older generations were damn sure tough. There's still a few out here that will saddle up and get things done. And it's always a pleasure to meet them.
Yes, it is. I always enjoy talking to them. I love seeing them wear their hats. You can always tell a lot of them will wear their hats proudly. Even the Pearl Harbor survivors, there's not many of them left around, but I remember 20 years ago, I'd see a few of them here and there where they'd wear their hat. They were on this ship or on that ship. Pretty amazing men and women. So let's bring in the next caller is Johnny.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
Not bad. I just wanted to add a little bit to the show. My grandpa was a World War II vet, and he was on the Princeton in the Pacific Theater, and was on that light carrier when it was hit with a kamikaze. And I can't remember how many hundreds were killed. The rest of them had to jump overboard. There was a ship called the Birmingham that was close by. It came up. It was a supply ship. It came up and tried to put the fire out on the Princeton, but was unable to do it. Ultimately, they scuttled it and rescued everyone else out of the water, including my grandpa, that they could. But yeah, he had lots of stories. I wish I could have recorded them back in the day. But
Yeah.
pretty cool listening to his stories. And there's actually, if you look that up, the Princeton light carrier Princeton in the Leyte Gulf. If you look up that story, it's full documented stories about it online. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's really neat that your grandfather shared those stories with you. My grandfather did not serve, but his brothers did. And I rarely, and I mean rarely, got to hear any of their stories. I didn't see them that often anyway, but they rarely talked about any of their experiences overseas. But now, looking back, I'm sure people like you even wish that they could have recorded some of those things and kept those, in their family albums and their records, because what an amazing time that those people lived in, and the
Right.
experiences that they had. It'd be nice to sit down and not only listen to it yourself, but allow your children to listen to it, and even your grandchildren to listen to it, over the generations. It'd be truly a blessing to your family.
Yeah, exactly. Too bad the recording equipment didn't really come around until after so many of these guys and women, left us. But, we can just remember them for the great generation that they were.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing with us, Johnny.
No
Really
problem, man.
appreciate it.
Enjoy the show, and
Yep.
you
God
guys
bless you.
take care. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Yep. Good
Thank
night.
you.
All right. That was really cool. Johnny remembered a story that his grandfather told him. Thank you, Robin, for the super sticker. Really appreciate it. Again, I didn't really get a chance to hear any of those stories on my family's side. There wasn't many of them, and I was never around enough to really get to hear them. So that was, I guess, part of my life that I didn't get to experience that with my great uncles. Very rarely. Well, we got one more caller. Let's bring in Camel Carl.
Hey,
How you doing, Carl?
I'm doing really good. That's really weird because my dad was in the Battle of Leyte Gulf. I'm familiar with the battle Johnny just spoke of. I sent you some pictures on Facebook. My dad was on the USS Kitkin Bay, and there is a picture of his ship pulling into port into Pearl Harbor in 1943. What a coincidence. I'm aware of the Princeton.
Small
I'm
world.
aware of Yes, yes, it is. My father was a gunner. He was in on those Zeros that got shot down. He was also a pilot for landing craft. I'd really be honored if you would show the audience those photos I sent you.
I think I've got them here.
My father was killed in 1969, so I don't have a whole lot of the story except for what I've researched.
Vietnam?
No, in World War II. He was in the South Pacific Theater. He was in.
Uh-oh.
All right. We lost him. Call back in, Carl.
Always jumping in and out.
Yeah, he lives in the woods. He lives in the woods. So here is one of the photos that Carl sent me. You're back, Carl. There's the photo you sent me here.
That's his ship
You there?
pulling into Pearl in 1943.
And the name of the ship again?
The USS Kitkin Bay. Saw a lot of action.
Wow.
Go farther back in the messages that I sent you, and you'll see a collage of what happens when you wake the sleeping giant. Oh, I keep losing you guys.
We got you. So We got the photos here. There's one of them. Can you see it, Carl?
Oh, it's yep, that's them. That's those. I don't mind that my name's on there. I find me if you can.
Look at that aircraft carrier they're taking those pictures from.
I have a bunch of photographs of his that I really can't even identify all of them.
Huh. Pretty amazing.
But they opened a can of whoop
Pretty
ass,
amazing.
that's for sure.
Yes, they did. They definitely awakened the sleeping giant, and that's what got us into World War II.
Thank you,
I know
Mike.
we tried to stay out of it for quite a while. Yeah, thank you for sharing with us, Carl. Appreciate it.
Anytime, brother.
All right. Have a great night. We're losing him. I can't hear him no more. Yeah, those were some pretty amazing photos. Some pretty amazing photos. Thanks for sharing that with us, Carl. Appreciate it. Thank you for your father's service. Thank you to everybody that served then, now, and even in the future. All those black and white photos, man, that's real right there. Those photos were taken off of what it looked like a deck of a carrier to me. So they were there. They were right there.
I want to tell you, if people don't know Camo Carl, and they need to find him on some of these channels, because he has a wealth of knowledge of history. He is highly intelligent, highly. So
I wish he had better service so he could stay on with us a little bit longer.
well, I know it. Like I said, he's fun to listen to.
All right, folks, I'm going to drop the link again. I'll take another call or two before we end the night. So if you guys want to hop up here real quick, there's the link. We'll bring you up. If you got a story you'd like to tell, memory of one of your family members you'd like to share with us, please jump up here and share with us. We'd love to hear from you tonight. Remembering Pearl Harbor, it's the least that we can do for the sacrifice that those men and women made. I mean, I'll give you another point. During Pearl Harbor, during the hour and 10 minutes of the attack, think about the nurses in the hospital and the doctors in the hospital as injured soldiers, as injured civilians come rushing through the doors of that hospital there. Imagine the anxiety that they felt as that was all going on. And as they were working, they were still hearing guns going off. They were still hearing bombs going off, torpedoes blowing up, ships. And, you in that situation, you wouldn't have known, are they going to hit us? Everything else is exploding around us. But yet those women and those doctors, those men, still perform their duties to the best of their abilities, even under all of that anxiety and stress, not knowing if the next boom they hear is the boom on top of the hospital. So just amazing people. They
had a job to do, and they was going to do it.
Yeah, I agree. It's impossible to imagine that, and the only thing in my mind that allows me to imagine that is obviously Hollywood. Watching the movie Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck and them, and watching all those war scenes. Obviously, I couldn't imagine the fear, the anxiety, but a lot of those movies I felt did a pretty good job of portraying that enough to where you get the gist of it. You kind of feel some of those movies kind of felt like you were right there in the moment with them. I mean, they're so graphic nowadays, and the special effects. Same with Saving Private Ryan when they hit that beach and guys were getting tore up. I mean, if you didn't feel that, man, there's something wrong with you. I know the first time I watched that movie, it made me sick to my stomach, and I was just like, holy crap! I feel like I'm right there on the beach with them and seeing all the gore happen. I just the PTSD that those people would have after that, just mind-boggling.
Yeah, some of them
All right,
shows.
I'm gonna drop this.
Go ahead, Mike.
I said I'm gonna drop the link one more time. If nobody wants to call in, we'll end it early tonight and get out of here. I just was hoping that we would get a couple more stories, a couple more people call in and share their family stories about their great uncles or their great grandfathers, or it'd be nice if somebody's great grandma or great aunt or something was a nurse at Pearl Harbor and they could call in and maybe give us a story about the woman's perspective of the stories that they heard from them. Like I said, those women were just as important as the men were. They were in a hard spot that day. They had to make some critical decisions as well. If you watched the movie, there would be casualties that would roll into the hospital, and there was a nurse that had to make calls whether that person was able to be saved or that person was past saving, and what a horrible position to have to be in to make that decision over somebody else's life. No, we can't save that one, move on, or yeah, let's take a chance on this one and try to save them. That's just the strength that the women had to have to get through that moment in time is incredible.
Yep. Hey, John.
Good evening, Johnny. How are you?
I'm doing great. I have really enjoyed the show. It's brought me to tears a couple times. I was fortunate to be reared by the greatest generation, and my wife's dad's family. They were farmers in Guadalcanal, Louisiana, and within 10 days of Pearl Harbor, her dad and 3 of his brothers all enlisted, and pretty powerful men. And her daddy was a belly gunner for a handful of missions to start the war, and then at the end of it, he was a tail gunner, and he got to fly over the first bombing raid over Berlin. So he certainly fulfilled his missions and did his duty. He flew with old Jimmy Doolittle when they decided to take reprisal and to let Japan know that we could bomb them, that we could reach them. And Robert survived that, and that was a great story. He didn't do a lot of talking about it. Sometimes if he consumed and if his brothers were around, they would share somewhat, but a lot of them suffered from what they saw. But they were still some. When somebody referenced a while ago that they certainly had balls, each and every one of them. They were men, and I write about that. It's one of the things that really drives me, motivates me not to let this country go, knowing what they sacrificed, each and every one of them, and why they sacrificed that. Their nation was under attack, and we saw the same thing. I had a young kid that I coached in baseball. As soon as the buildings went down on 9/11, little Ricky joined the Marines. I mean, within a week. And he lost his life in a cave in Afghanistan. So Americans are compelled, when pushed and shoved, we will retaliate and we will restore this great nation and our planet. And I don't know, today I've had 2 real difficult days. I had the opportunity yesterday to share an hour on a FM Christian radio station in Lake Charles, and be uncensored to speak about a lot of what we speak about. And when I came home, my wife has listened to me give speeches and do a lot of things. But when I walked in the door, she goes, "John, that was the greatest thing I ever heard you say." And it was because I could speak uncensored and unfiltered. And I posted that blog today, just this afternoon on the website, and it is part of this. It is, Pearl Harbor always brings a tear to my eye, because I knew the story from her uncles, my uncles, that it compelled this nation to unite in no way ever seen. We've been united at times, and we have felt it in this generation, but not like those men and women. And the women, to listen to their stories of what they did and what, they worked in the cannon factories, they collected coat hangers and everything that they did and sacrificed and were willing they didn't hesitate. America was attacked and would not stand. And right now, all I can say is we're being attacked again, and it is by not a kinetic means, but it definitely a bio weapon has been unleashed across this nation. And if we don't stop it, folks, and yesterday was some big battles in Louisiana, and we had small victories. And it's from the very people that you had on last night, the affidavit mamas. And look at what that's doing. When you see a group of women united in a common cause, because they know we have to turn this back. We have to become, and I don't want to well up and cry. Yeah, I just lost a cousin 3 days ago, and he suffered from Parkinson's, and he had decided to vacation himself, and he struggled with that. But then he went ahead and out of fear, he got a turbocharger to his vacation. And 3 days later, he was hospitalized with the big C and pneumonia. And then they treated him with a rim, and he lasted 5 days. And what was sad is I had the knowledge that when he was checked into that hospital and what protocol they followed, that he would perish. So that's an attack, and it's like, what do you tell a family member when you know that they're under attack and they don't have the knowledge that you have, Mike, that Shane has, and what we share right here? We're under attack is at a far greater scale than what took place at Pearl Harbor. And if that doesn't wake you up, my friends, then God bless you. We can't help you. But if you don't wake up, and if you don't let this day always stand in infamy, and that was the greatest thing that I think Franklin Delano ever said, and it can't leave us, but no attack on this great nation can be allowed to stand and us not do anything and take the action necessary. And we on this channel, you guys are Mike and Shane. I don't know if you know what you mean to me, but I know what you mean to all of us. And the love of our God, what drives us, what motivates us, is to save this nation. And we can never rest. We can't relent. And we just have to keep pushing, keep educating, and stand up and take this battle to the evil. Be
Amen.
just like those men.
Yes. Yes, those men and women of World War II
Powerful women
should be somebody that we look up to when they were relentless, like you said, relentless, and always fighting and always pushing forward. and those are definitely need to be our role models today. So they can live in infamy as well as our heroes, knowing that they, you know, are a driving force yet today, that we can harness that whole energy they had in World War II and do our part to save this country. John, a lot of people are asking where they could find that blog. Where can they find that blog or that interview that you did today?
Well, the interview, it's a small Christian radio station, so it wasn't recorded. And I really hate that. I had some people, they could live stream it and they listened to it and they thanked me for what I did. But it's not about me. And the reason that I chose that format is I know the man that, and he passed, that operated that. And I reached out to them because I knew that it would be an uncensored, because I fear for my community. We have a hospital that's using a treatment that kills 26% of the people. 26% of the people that they treat with it are passing away. And that's a fact. They can't run from that. They can censor it. They can do whatever they choose to. But those of us that know will not accept the lie. But the blog is on UnitedToSaveAmerica.com. And there's a lot of links in there, folks, because those links are to proof that what we tell you and what is shared on this channel is factual, it is truth, it is being hidden and censored, but we can't ignore it. You know, when the Lancet publishes facts that are available, we have to make them available to save. They are going after our children, our babies, and they're going to inject them, and we have to stop it. It has to be, and I'm telling you that the notices served, that the affidavit mom has made available to us, they work. The affidavits that follows are powerful, lawful documents that we can hold these people and criminals to account when this ends. There was a man yesterday that addressed the 15 congressmen having a debate about whether our governor could take a lawful action to demand every kid has to have an immunization card to go into school. And our criminal governor wanted it placed on there that the big C immunization would be required for a child to be in a Louisiana public school. And then there was a forced congressional by our attorney general. They had an aggressive, Robert Kennedy Jr. came, spoke very eloquently. He was somewhat dissed by the Department of Louisiana Department of Health, but that's who they are. And I know why they do what they do. I know what their funding mechanism is. But at any rate, this man looked him in the eye, and he calls himself a vacation police. And he told them he had all of their signed oaths. When they take an oath for office, they sign it.
Mm-hmm.
He had all of those sitting right beside him, and he told them, I have every one of your oaths, and I'm pursuing your bonds. And that's something that we all need to understand. If your state and your constitution, if these are bonded representatives, that if they violate their constitutional oath, those bonds can be forfeited, and they are removed from your service as your reps. So that's a powerful tool. And this man told him and looked him in the eye, you can either stand down, or if you persist, these are the actions we're going to take. And if your governor persists, I'm going to show up here with your attorney general and one single constitutional sheriff, and I will watch him arrested. And then, of course, the committee voted to do away with the governor's little deal in a vote of 13-2. So we have power.
Nice.
Hundreds of people
Yes, we
showed
do.
up.
Yes,
Hundreds
we
of
do.
people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we
And
do. John, I'm
do
gonna
it for these folks.
make this public. I'm
All right.
gonna make this public. I'm gonna make
Okay.
this public right now. I've been working on trying to find a guest for Friday for our podcast. I got a list of people here that are even in the chat and in the waiting room that I'm also going to invite to do a podcast with me. But John, would you like to go on the podcast with me Friday morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is noon Eastern?
Buddy, you tell me and I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on.
All right.
Is that you did say
All right,
that that's a place
I'll
where
call
we
you
can
tomorrow.
speak freely, huh?
Yes, we can speak freely. I will call you tomorrow and give you the details. I just want to make it public for everybody listening tonight. If you guys want an unfiltered podcast with John E., I'm going to do one Friday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time, which is noon Eastern, 11 Central. It will be live. If you guys want to hear that, go to Podbean on your phones, your devices, download Podbean. It's free. And then look up LWN Podcast. It's also free. Go there, sign up, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do. I'm going to unleash John E. Friday morning and go unfiltered with him, and we'll have raw talk.
There you go. I like that. I look
Liberty
forward
Warrior
to it.
Raw. That's what we'll call it. Liberty
Okay.
Warrior Raw, Friday morning. So, brother, I got another caller. I'm gonna finish the show up. I will call you tomorrow. We'll work out the details, and I will look forward to seeing you Friday morning.
All right. I love everybody. And look, this is our day. This is our time to emulate those great men that sacrificed so much at Pearl Harbor. Later.
Amen. All right. God bless. All right. I got one last caller for tonight, folks. Ron's in the waiting room. I'm going to bring him in. So if you guys want unfiltered, where we don't have to be censored like we are here, check us out at BeanPod, LWN Podcast. Friday morning will be Johnny. And then I've got a few other people I'm going to reach out to via email, phone calls, and start booking them and scheduling them for the Friday morning show. I'm pretty excited about it. I enjoy being over there. I think you guys will enjoy it as well. It is definitely a little bit different than being here on YouTube, where we got to talk in code and be cautious about what we say. So I'm looking forward to Friday morning with John. Check us out over there on Podbean, LWN Podcast. Let's bring in Ron. How you doing this evening, sir?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I've been listening to it. I was eating my dinner. They were listening to you guys. I couldn't get away from my fork.
I've been there and done that. What's on your mind
Gotta
tonight, or is there a story you'd like to tell?
Well, I can tell a whole bunch of stories, but what I wanted to get across to some of the viewers here that understand, the military complex was built in 1940 in preparation to go to Europe and possibly to the Pacific. They were told to deliver oil to Europe as much as they needed for the duration. And it wasn't going to the British, because BP was told the same thing, and so was Shell out of Denmark, Danish Petroleum Company. No oil barges were shot down by U-boats or destroyers. They were allowed to make their trip all the way over and back. Not one oil tanker got tore up. That goes to show you right there. When I read that back in 77, I thought, I'm in the middle of this now, because I was in the military then. And when you start tracing it down, it all comes to one big thing. We're nothing more than a chessboard, and everybody has to send their people over to die for the entertainment of the elite. That's what it comes down to. Protect their global interests, not ours. Protect their safety, not ours. And when you look at it, they want to, our government now is trying to take things away from veterans, and a veteran should never have to wait more than 90 days after he gets out of the military to get his benefits. And it takes some people up to 2 years right now, and they say they've got it sped up. I mean, our country doesn't care about the veterans as far as the government goes, but the people at heart, in the heart of the country, and everywhere around it, there are people who know what the reasons are. And the guys who got killed in Pearl Harbor and all the other wars that happened were killed because they were nothing more than pawns on the board. And then we're fed a bunch of lies about what happened. They never tell us the truth. And the government would never tell us the truth because it blows the plan that they had back then. I mean, a lot of things are iffy to some people, and some things are so out there in the middle that you can't help but trip over the facts. That people have to use their discernment and try to figure out what it's telling them, and go into more research that is about that same thing, and you draw all the lines, you see the comparisons, and it all plays out that it's nothing more than a global elite telling the president, send your people over here because we need this. I mean, the Middle East wasn't even established until World War II. Look it up, people. The British colonies set those areas up. The only one they didn't set in place was Saudi Arabia, but all the other countries in that little spot right there, Iran, Iraq, Syria, they were all given that land to protect the oil interests. And you see what we've got now. We've got fighting. These people don't like each other. They have a war. And wars are horrible, and people know that. But in the end, it always came down to the 3%. 3% of the population fought in the wars. Everybody else is supporting the 3%. I mean, 3% of the population are fighting. They're frontline fighting, and the rest of them are supporting that fighting with beans and bullets. Back in the back here in the United States, they're putting out the vehicles and the fuel and the food and sending it all to the soldiers. So there is nobody who doesn't get affected by it. But the fact of the matter is, in war, everybody has a job to do. There's no person that doesn't have a job to do unless they just hide and not face the facts. My grandfather didn't go to World War II. He worked at the Garland foundry pouring tank turrets out of cast iron. That's what the first tanks were made out of, cast iron. Now you couldn't put one like that on the battlefield. It'd get shredded.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like that would be very safe.
Well, back then, that was the technology. The turrets had to be made a certain way, and the only way to do it was to pour them. And my grandfather worked at the Garland foundry in Terre Haute, Indiana, and the site is still there. They just don't have it operational anymore. All that went to you know who. But he spent his life over there. Got to retirement age and died before he cashed his first Social Security check. But he came from the farmlands of Illinois and Indiana, went to work in a 9-to-5 job at the foundry, and the rest is history for him. But he's told me one time he lost count of how many tank turrets they poured there. and he was considered their master mold mason. He was a guy who perfected the molds for the turrets and stuff, and inspected them, and then they pour them, and then he became a pourer, and of course people are leaving left and right to go to the battle, and like I say, he poured military equipment. He wanted to go to war, but he couldn't because his job would not allow him to leave because of government contracts.
Wow.
So that just goes to
That's,
show you we're all nothing more than pawns on the board. And in war, we have to do what they tell us to do when they send us to a place that we have no idea where it's at, no idea what's going to happen. But you go there thinking it's for the good of the country. And sometimes it is, sometimes it doesn't make it a shade bit of difference to what's happening in the street. You know,
I agree with you.
you just have to go do your job and come back, hopefully.
I definitely agree with that. Sometimes it doesn't make sense while we're there. And sometimes it's called a rich man's war because all they want is more, more, more. And it's unacceptable to sacrifice those. Say that again, Ron. You're breaking up really bad.
Okay, well, guess I'll see you later. Thanks for
Yeah.
letting me on. If you can hear me,
All right.
I'll
God
see
bless.
you later.
God bless. All right. Bye-bye. All right. A little bit of phone problems tonight with a few people. It's pretty typical. We all go through that. I even have internet problems here too. So I guess it's that time of night, folks. I'm going to go ahead and land the plane. I'm going to close this out. So if you didn't hear earlier, check us out at Podbean, LWN Podcast. We'll have Johnny on there Friday morning, 10 o'clock Mountain Time, which is noon Eastern. Should be a great show, unfiltered, unapologetic, raw. So I'm going to go ahead and pray us out. I don't know what happened to Shane. He disappeared on me. So pray us out. We'll get out of here this evening. We'll catch you back here. Well, we'll catch you tomorrow morning. Hopefully. I like doing the little news bit in the morning, and I'm going to get spanked for this. I need to check my schedule. Let me check my schedule real quick. Let me get the right date. Tomorrow is the 8th. It looks like, well, I might have to move it back a little bit, but I will do a news update tomorrow morning. I don't know what time. I'll have to, I can't really read my schedule. It looks like 11 o'clock possibly. But anyway, you guys will get the notification, and we'll put that out tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow evening at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. What'd you think, Shane? What's your final thought for tonight?
Well, I just wish I knew more about it because I find it interesting. I just don't know that much about it. And it's not from lack of wanting to. It's just seems like I never get time to research the things that I need to. So, but it'd be interesting to learn more. That's for sure.
Well, let's just say there's enough history out there to fill seems like almost half a lifetime on World War II. So many different facets of that war, all over the place, and stories, and just it's a lot to take in. I would think that would be a monumental achievement if you could spend the time to study and research this from the start to finish, and know as much of it as you possibly could about Pearl Harbor and World War II. It would be you'd be up there with some of the greats.
Yeah. My stepdad, that's one where I got into it real big. My stepdad was real big into that, all history. He knows it all. And that's kind of what turned me off from it, because that's all he wanted to do was his spare time is watching old relic shows or reading books. So
Absolutely. Well, I'll go ahead and pray us out. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this time that we spent this evening. Thank you for all the great callers and the stories that they brought in to share with us and to teach us and a little bit of history from their family's perspective and what they were taught from their loved ones. Lord, I pray for all the survivors of Pearl Harbor tonight. I know there's very few of them left, Lord. I just pray a hedge of protection around them, Lord, and that you bless them for what days they have left, that they enjoy them and live in peace. Lord, I pray for everybody listening tonight. I pray that they all enjoyed the show, a little bit of history, a little bit of remembrance of Pearl Harbor. And Lord, we just pray that we don't ever encounter another situation like that again here in America, that you protect this country, Lord. And I pray that everyone listening will have a blessed night, and we'll see them back here tomorrow. And I pray this in your son's precious name. Amen. All right, Shane. Well, you can check us out, libertywarriornation.com. Sign up for our email notifications. You can also send us prayer requests there. There's a more link. If you hit the more button, there's a prayer request there. Send that to us as well. You can also check out our store. We have merchandise in the store, and Shane is diligently working on that to put more in there. So check that out if you have time. And I think that's about it for this evening. We'll see you back here at 8 Eastern, 7 Central.
6 Mountain.
All right. Love you all. Have a great night.